Hello and welcome back to Crushing Comics, the show where I fall in love with my comic collection all over again. My name is Peter Marinari. I'm coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand, which is the new home of all of my collected editions after they've traveled around the globe to be with me. And I'm pulling out this big honker today to unwrap from the wall. I don't know what's in any of these. Every so often there's like a scrawled note on one of them. This I can see an H on the note, so I have a guess. But I don't know what it really could be. Other than this is definitely bigger than a Marvel Omnibus, so it's probably either a DC Absolute, or, as I was reminded on an earlier episode, it could be a Dark Horse Library Edition, which I had kind of temporarily forgotten about. So let's see what's going to have in store for us. How many trees had to decide to die to protect the other trees inside of these trees made of yet more trees? Okay, we have 2 more volumes of Hellboy Library Editions, volumes 3 and 4, so I happen to be unpacking them in order. So I talked a lot about the Hellboy Library Editions in a previous episode, and I haven't read them. You can see that these are still in the wrap, so I don't know how much I can elucidate about Hellboy at this point, other than to say this is, it's interesting. Marvel has all of this intellectual property that we want so badly, so does DC, and you have people like begging them to collect things the way that we are pretty sure it would be good to collect them, right? Like certain runs that we know that are missing in collected editions that we want, putting runs in certain order or presenting them in a certain way. And, you know, sometimes we get what we want and sometimes we don't. There's a huge Marvel Omnibus Most Wanted poll every year, and we name the 50 or 60 omnibuses we want the most. And it's like a stop clock is right twice a day, and the poll, even if Marvel's not reading it at all, tends to pick some number of books that will come out in the next year. But then you get companies like Image and Dark Horse who are putting out these collected editions, and maybe it's because they're a smaller company and have their ear to the ground some more, maybe because they've got to be thoughtful and pick their battles and really win each one they pick, but they just do a good job at collected editions. These Hellboy editions, they're smart, they collect things, you know, as in the order that they came out, so that you can experience Hellboy in the way that it was originally presented. They're kept virtually in print at all times. There's certain times that 1 or 2 of them will become hard to find, and then they tend to pop back, because Dark Horse knows, and Mike Mignola knows, that people are going to keep wanting Hellboy, and it doesn't really do them any good to play this game where they're like letting it go out of print in one format to bring it back in print to another format, and then let that one go out of print, which Marvel does tend to do because they're trying to get the same people to buy things over and over again. But that's just the way that the finance of it works at Marvel. I get the feeling Dark Horse would rather you just buy the thing you really wanted and keep buying the things of theirs that you really want. Actually, what's interesting is Dark Horse just recently announced that they are going to put out Hellboy in another format, Hellboy Omnibuses, which I guess are to get us ready for this new Hellboy movie they're going to be in production on soon. And the omnibuses are going to be paperback omnibuses. Dark Horse's omnibus line tends to be massive phone booky color paperbacks rather than oversized stuff, which their brand name for is library editions. And that the omnibuses are going to, let me see if I can get this right, I think they're going to present Hellboy in chronological order. That's not necessarily the order that the stories came out in. Mignola jumps around to different periods of Hellboy's life, and these books just collect them in the order that they came out. The omnibuses, by contrast, are going to put Hellboy into the order of his life story. Now, normally I would be really into that. That's what I'm always asking for with Marvel, like just give me the stories in continuity order. But the challenge is that what happens the next time Mignola does a backwards insert of an old story, and we've got these omnibuses and they've already been printed and the old story fits into there. Now that's easier to control for a sole creative mastermind like Mignola, because he could just choose not to do that. If it's not in his plan anymore, then he's safe to put these omnibuses together because he's not going to dip back in. Marvel would have a much harder time doing that because there's dozens of writers operating across dozens of titles, and any one of them could insert some retcon arc into some character's history at some point, and then those books would, you know, be spoiled because they would be missing something key at that point in a character's history. So I really applaud Dark Horse for doing it, and it goes to show that collecting comic books is more than just collecting Marvel or DC, or if you're into like Image titles, you know, and indie stuff. you got to branch out from your norm. Not only because you might find things that you like, but because you get to experience how different publishers are collecting things in different ways. And these library edition books, Dark Horse, for my money and for my taste level, oh, that's upside down, does the best collections. And I'm just a big fan of these collections. So they are worth the money to track down. If you look, I think this one still has the price. Yeah, they're just like on this little piece of paper that floats around and comes out when you get done the wrap. But if you look, they're only $50 each, which is like half the price of a Marvel Omnibus. And they're just as long as some Marvel Omnibuses, and they're really a lot better made. So buy the darn thing. So I'm going to shelve them now right next to their brethren up there. It looks like I might have to move something out of the way to make it happen. Here comes the ceremonial shelving of Hellboy. Volumes 3 and 4. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Well, I think we've already picked our one for next time. Tune in when I unleash whatever this big stack of comics is. It's going to be a lot, and I'm going to have a lot to say, so come back next time for Crushing Crisis. Oh gosh, no, that's my blog. Come back, go there, definitely go there, but then tomorrow, or whenever, probably tomorrow, come back for another episode of Crushing Comics.